introduction here. Thanks, folks, for joining us today. This is Tom Hayes on Upbeat. Lately, I haven't been mentioning it, but I forget when I started this, the idea was to stay upbeat. And boy, oh boy, it's so hard to do that in a downbeat time. Anyway, RoseMarie is an outstanding woman who has overcome adversity and challenge to transform her and her family and community's lives by discovering her inner strength and learning the power of letting go to reshape her life's journey. And she's also a patriot, and we share very similar attitudes about the world and American crisis today. And I thought it would be great. I think I titled this Healing in a Time of Crisis, a Downeast Patriot Mother's Viewpoint. How does that sound?
That's excellent, Tom. Excellent.
And I know you have a lot to say, so I'm going to shut up and let you. First of all, what town are you in? You north of Ellsworth?
I am. Yeah, I'm outside of Ellsworth. Most people when I mention the town I'm in, they have no idea until I say I'm about half an hour away from Bar Harbor, and they say, "Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about now."
Yeah.
I am about that much away from the island of Bar Harbor. So
are you west of Bar Harbor? Then you must be.
I think it's looking at that. Yes, I'm west of Bar Harbor. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah,
right in the middle where. Yep.
Life is it? What's the saying? Life as it should be for Maine. The way life should be.
The way life should be. And I agree with. That's what it says when you come into Maine. This is Maine, the way life should be. In many aspects, yes. In recently, in the past couple years, in certain, personally, just my personal opinion. And many others as well do not agree that the governor we have is really doing an excellent job right now. But aside from that, as I say, keeping this upbeat, Maine is, I always tell people, I say, when you come to Maine, you get over the Kittery Bridge, you're in a different world. So you're in a totally different world.
I think I told you over Christmas, just after the first day back to business after the Christmas break, I stood in a post office in my previous residence for almost 30 years, South Boston, and it was full of the current residents, which were mainly millennials, single girls with dogs, and somebody bumped into me on their way to get an envelope and a shipping label, and totally violated the 6-foot rule. Virtually got in my face to reach behind me, almost made physical contact with me, and grabbed their envelope and thing, and never said a word. And I mentioned to my stepson, who doesn't understand my criticism of that kind of behavior. I said, "Do you see? It was not even an excuse me or an acknowledgement that I even existed." And I was in line. But I haven't been wearing my prosthesis lately, so I'm standing there in crutches, looking like Long John Silver with one leg, and nobody's talking to each other. It's like we're in a line to pay respects to the dead and the deceased, and so finally it gets to the point where the person in front of me, it's her turn to be waited on next, and she turns and says, "Would you like to go before me?" And I said, "Oh my God." And to prove a point, because I had an audience, I said, "I'll bet you didn't grow up here, you're not from here originally, and or you were born here." And I said, "Because you have manners." And she laughed and said, "Well, I'm from Maine."
Yeah, that's right.
And I said, I can tell the difference. She says, she quoted you almost verbatim. As soon as you go over the bridge, the Kittery Bridge, she says, life is the way it should be, and everybody changes, and people have manners, etc. So she said to me, "I know what you're talking about." She says, "because I've seen it get worse and worse over the past 10 years that I've lived here, less and less human contact, more and more people staring at their cell phones, and more and more isolation and less communication. So enough of my rant. And you're right. The only place I would find a change was in Maine. But however, I started to see some of this gentrification thing moving into Portland.
Yes, yeah, it's down around the Portland and Augusta area. And in fact, at some point, not sure when, I'm possibly going to be joining in a Patriot rally down around the Augusta area. Just to, they drive through with the vehicles, they have their flags and such, and they speak. And even, anybody goes up and speaks. And nobody's hollering anything, nobody's throwing it. It's just peaceful. It's just people
right.
getting their word out, speaking their mind, and that's it. And they go home.
Nice.
And I feel that's the way it should be in all cases. And why not? I mean, everybody should be able to speak, say whatever they feel. I tell everybody. In fact, I spoke to someone today. As they don't have the same views as I do. I'm a patriot. They're not, but that's fine. I said I respect your views. I'm not going to stand here and try to impose my views upon yours. I said I'm not going to, And I told this person, I said that because we helped each other out, and I said I appreciate, pretty much told them I appreciated them, and I said everybody had that same viewpoint. Everybody had that same, I guess, you could call it a viewpoint. Could you imagine how it would be? I mean, think about it. Everybody's got a different opinion. Everybody's got a different liking or disliking. So it's if everybody could just respect that and say, okay, look, I'm not going to fight you over this. This is your decision, not mine. I'm happy with mine. I go this way, you go that. That's fine. There is a song, and I'm big on music because, of course, my daughter Victoria, she loves music. There's a song that's called by a group, a man named Michael Franti, Franti. The song is called Nobody Right, Nobody Wrong. And if you listen to it, you really pay attention to those lyrics. It's the truth. Really, when you think about it, if you turn on the TV, which I turn mine off, I don't watch the news, I don't watch any of that, there's just no sense to, that if you notice, nobody's really right, nobody's really wrong. Everybody's fighting over nothing. It's just
right.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm in the process of doing a podcast series, and I found an old friend, and she's got great viewpoint and very articulate, and so she wanted to set up a forum and to have a list of topics we could cover, and she came. It's just wonderful. I'll read most of them here. Number one was the abdication of parenting, which I know you can comment on because you are the model parent if there ever was one. All conservatives are not the same, which I'd love to hear her elaborate on. The First Amendment, are we at the brink or business as usual? And then she has a subtitle, The Fundamental Foundations of America, Cancel Culture, Censorship, Truth/Propaganda. But I found this next topic really interesting. Discourse in the public square. What happened? ? A historical overview, colonialism, the role of the meeting house, Boston Common, first public park in America, a starting point, 1634, a starting point for the Freedom Trail, the loss of civility and common bond with your neighbors. So all of those are apt for today's discussion. You're right. There is, rather than, there was a time, and I've had this conversation recently with a couple of people, there was a time when you could get into an argument with one of your friends or whomever, and the argument would go on, and at some point somebody would say, gee, that's an interesting point. I never saw it that way. I still
Right.
don't agree, but I don't know how to answer that one. So there would be, like she's saying here, there would be a discourse, an exchange, an engagement, and that's what the town meeting halls are about. You know, people get up and give their viewpoint about what the next type of legislation or whatever should be. But now it deteriorates, doesn't it? I'll let you talk on that.
It has. I've noticed up here, like I said, it's so different. I mean, we're still dealing with, this whole, I don't even use the words anymore. It's just gotten so old. We're still dealing with the whole, as the people say, the pandemic, the whole thing. We're dealing with it here as well as, everywhere else. But where I am, people would consider it the boondocks. I'm out in the middle of nowhere, in a way. Our governor actually considered every single civilian in Maine as being a hillbilly. And, I'll stand up and say, yeah, I'll be a proud hillbilly. That's fine. All right. I'm a patriot. And I'll tell you why I am the way I am is because, and people would probably be, confused as to why I would bring it this way. It's because of my father. He traveled over here from Italy when he was 27 years old. And he, come over on a ship. And when he came into port, he had to go through the hours and hours, grueling hours of customs. And he told me all about it. And I asked him, I said, Dad, how did you feel when you were traveling over and you were coming into the harbor and you saw the Statue of Liberty and he would laugh a little, but he said there was no way to describe it really. He said it was beautiful. And he said it was freedom. So those words echo within me, and they're thunderous within me when I heard him say it was freedom. And now I'm thinking he's turning over in his grave because he's saying, he come to this country, he raised family, he created a business, he from the ground up, and it went on for many years. He built that building and built the business up with my mother. And this is what he dreamed of, and he conquered that dream. He had, and then he passed away back in 2001. And like I said, I think he's turning over because he's saying, what is going on here? Here was this country. A lot of my family that come over here, they're always so excited. Oh my gosh, they come off the plane, they'd be so excited, they'd be jumping up and down to be here. And the everything from, even the most minor thing like shopping was a huge, big deal for them here. And to see how things are going and to think, and I remember seeing their faces and how my father talked about when he'd come over here. And now this, and this is why I am the patriot I am, because even though my father was not born here, he's, from Italy, he became, in a way, a patriot. He stood for the flag. He was respectful. He was very proud of becoming an American citizen here. And now I'm sitting back and going, sorry, Dad, I'm not saying it's my fault. It's not. I'm apologizing because I'm saying, I'm sorry this has happened. I'm sorry that, he's looking down and watching this happen. And if he was still alive, this would be breaking his heart. It really would be. I know you say you want to keep it upbeat, but I'm like I said, I'd lay it out on the table. I'm going to be straightforward. It would have broken his heart.
Well,
things that are going on today.
Well, I just, again, thank you. It's, you've got a writer's talent for description. And I just, all of us, I'm sure, could see the Statue of Liberty. All of us could see it from your father's viewpoint, coming into the harbor and after what they were running from. And again, this was, the streets were paved with gold in those days. But what do you think? And I think, I'm going to say, how do you think this evolved? Where did this what would be the term you would use to describe today as looking at it from a leftist liberal viewpoint? What is the vibe? What is the attitude?
Well, if you want, and I don't know, this is how I'm seeing it. Because I was raised by the parents I was raised by, you know, my parents were older when they had me, and they both survived wars, and they survived depression. And I can look back even on how people dressed back when they were younger. There's I think the biggest word here is not only respect for others, but respect for oneself. And that seems to have been declining for, in you know, just in a certain, I want to say a certain generation possibly, has declined so much over the years that it's brought us to, it's brought this country to a point where people just don't care. They don't care. I mean, you see how people carry themselves. You see how they like you said, you were standing there in the post office, and I was raised, if I needed that envelope, I would have said, "Oh, excuse me, sir, you know, pardon me," and I would have waited for you to move over while I went for my envelope, and then thanked you for moving over. This is how I was raised. It was, you say, please, thank you, pardon me. You open the door for someone. It doesn't matter what, it could be anyone. You open the door for them, let them go first. And most, you know, my parents would always say, you respect your elders. So, yeah, open the door for them, let them in. And I remember how many times I opened the door and a gentleman would say to me, oh, no, you go first. I said, no, sir, you go right ahead. You know, have a good day, and let them go. And the look I could have looked like I had, you know, 6 heads. You know, oh, my goodness, this young woman is being respectful to me. And, you know, I'd smile and go on my way.
I think you've done something profound here, this idea of respect, the lack of respect. And you've hit it right where it starts, isn't it? The individual. The individuals listen less to people. Did I lose you?
No, I'm right here. I think it was just a moment. We have a bit of a snow squall going above us right now, so I'm thinking the weather might have gotten in the way there.
So anyway, lack of self-respect. Do you want to comment on that, or? Oh, okay. I think she's maybe dealing with. Oh, I did lose her. Hang on. Hang on, folks. Oh. Well, let me see. Can we tell her to call me? Hey, RoseMarie, you want to try that other number I just sent you and then call me?
Sure, will do.
All right. And then if you call me back. Okay, let's see what we got here. Sorry for all of this. I'm going to have to obviously edit this thing, but we're on such a good roll. I want to continue. Oh, wait a minute. Let me put you on speaker. There we go. Yeah, so we're on such a good roll here. This is going to be a little choppy, but I should be able to put together. I want to keep this train of thought. Are you there?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I finally got a good spot over here. So.
Okay. So we were talking about respect and self-respect and the lack of it. So you want to keep on that vein?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Because I realized that within myself in the past. You know how they always say in 5 years how things can change. I said in the past 5 years, I've gone through some changes, you know, within myself. I've had time because, especially with all this, I think, you know, my husband and I talked about it where during this whole thing we're all going through, it's that we've all had time to spend time with ourselves. And I noticed that I had lack of respect in myself for a long time, and I gained it back. And that's how I can recognize when I look outside the box and I see how people are treating others. There's a lack of compassion, lack of empathy, lack of like I said, consideration. That's a big word. My parents used to use that. There's no consideration, they'd say. So I feel even way back, I want to say, give it 15 years ago. I remember my mother saying, there's no consideration anymore. Now, I don't know if it was beginning then, or if this was something that just kind of, simmered on through the years. But, I see that too, the consideration. There's a huge lack of that as well, where, of other people's feelings, thoughts. Somebody says, well, I love so-and-so, doesn't matter what it is. I've seen it, people on Facebook, well, I'm for so-and-so. Well, that's outside the box.
And so it's because I stumbled on this, amazing how, what do I call it, without how the Black Lives Matter movement caught on, how it spread like a forest fire. So active the other day. When didn't they? But it's not new, and especially this is my point. I grew up in a black neighborhood. I was the object of a lot of hate and racism. You should imagine see somebody screaming, "Can't breathe," and choking to death, ignited the whole world. But the way that it was embraced is unlike anything we've ever seen. And the point where I'm sure you have them up there, the lawn signs.
Yes.
Every corporation in the country, their websites changed, their social changed immediately, kept being sold constantly. Not the media, TV, radio, media, and everybody embraced it. It became a point of, normally it would be, hey, how are you, how things, how the kids, to, this whole Black Lives Matter thing. And people would come with a chip on their shoulder, looking for a fight. And so I started to analyze it. What is the mindset of somebody who comes to me with this as their agenda and doesn't care about, like you said, the 25, 50 years of a relationship. And this could be the breaking point. So I love what you're saying. I love the fact that you're saying there's respect issue here. There's a consideration, and I wanted to say to myself, there's happening, what are the dynamics, and I started to say there has to be a mindset in the person coming to somebody looking for a fight over Black Lives Matter. And you've hit on something. Obviously, they come with a contentious attitude. They want to fight. They want to prove themselves. And their viewpoint is above all, and damn you. And they can go off in their righteousness. That's the other thing we're finding is a sense of righteousness with both sides. So I'm going to shut up and let you. I'm going to let you shut up. I'm going to shut up and let you.
I have a theory on all this, Tom. I have a theory, and I've used it for years because it wasn't just, it wasn't just whether it was Black lives or white. If say, all right, I'm in a park, okay, or I'm in a field, not even a park, a field, and I've got a group of my friends who are walking around, and then I see, there's a group of a Black family and such walking around. You'll see there's a beautiful rose bush, okay, and we both want to pick those roses. So we'll stay talking to the woman, talking to the girl, and we're picking the roses. Now, prick our fingers so hard, really. That's the question I have. Is anyone going to bleed differently? No. We're going to bleed the same color. Say, that hurt. We're both going to be in pain. So that's the thing I have. That if people would really, and some people might go, everything got a story. Every single person on this show, whatever, they have a book. And that would be part of my book. I cut myself, you do it at the same time. This could be whatsoever. We're both going to bleed. It's going to be the same color. Each other. When even if they hit each other at the same time, there's going to be no difference whatsoever.
Exactly. Well, I would kind of warn people who want to pick up the gauntlet, and I would say, I lived in a Black neighborhood. I saw the other side of racism. I said, we ate in each other's homes, visited each other. You might have lived it, but I've done my research. I know the causes, and this is systemic, and this started here, and this started there. So all of a sudden, they're an authority on the systemic basis of racism in this country. And lately, I started to get a little angry, but then I stumbled on it one night, and I said to the person, I said, what is going on in your life that you've decided to pick up this crusade? Of all the crusades, you never lived with any Black people. I know that the number of Black people you've ever come in contact in your life are probably, you could count on one hand, but you've picked up this cause. Why? First of all, where did it come from? Why are you adopting it? And why is this your crusade that you will endanger relationships with and go forward? There's something going on underneath the surface. It's not about Black Lives Matter.
No, it's not. It's absolutely not. I mean, that's a distraction from it all. I mean, that's what I personally feel. It's a distraction from what's really going on. It's a way to divide everybody. It's a way to, here's an example. If you take a pack of wolves, if you divide them, they're not going to survive, are they? No, they're not. I mean, one wolf can go out and look and probably hunt, but if everybody stuck together and worked together, it's about how can I put it, survival. I mean, and then to see this, my husband and I talk about it all the time, and that's part of our discussion. As we say, the division. It's about dividing everyone. It's about making everyone weak. It's about, finding our weaknesses. It's about, and that's another thing, like you say, you mentioned how people are approaching it to see if, see how that happens to be your weakness. It's not mine. Because if someone came to me and said, what do you think of it? I'd say, well, just what I told you. I'd say, if this was a Black person asking me, I'd say, if both of us were wounded at the same, we'd both bleed the same. There's really I mean, come on. Another thing is I've done my research on my, and I'm, Italian background, I'm Greek and Spanish background. So, when the Italians first came here, they had pretty hard first come to this country. And I read about the, I guess you could say there was I'm trying to find the word right now. Yeah. It's right there at the tip of my tongue, but it's, there was a great mass, I'm going to be blunt, mass killing of Italians when they come here because of the color of their skin, olive tone. So right. I could sit there and say, hey, I could sit here and take everything personally too. I've been called a guinea. I've been called a wop. I've been called all kinds of names. But have I gotten angry about it? No, not one bit. And if people think I'm being disrespectful about my heritage because I don't get angry, no. Why should I get angry? That's a personal thing. If I get angry, I'm making myself angry. I'm taking their words and I'm letting them manipulate me.
Beautifully put. And, I have to tell the audience that, we have a writer here, an innate writer. She writes beautifully. And when you've drawn a beautiful analogy with the rose bushes, etc. And, this is what I started to find is that these people, you've read Outwitting the Devil. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, that whole book is about what the heck do you let in your mind? Don't let the devil get your mind.
Exactly.
And so the devil has gotten everybody's mind and given them a cause that they have no connection to. Lately I've been working on a documentary about a club called the Sugar Shack in Boston, which was a predominantly black club in the center of Boston, run by the mafia, and it was the most amazing setting, the most amazing experience to this day. I'm 73 years old. There never was a place like the Sugar Shack. And so I've done, in the last 5 or 6 years, I've interviewed all kinds of black entertainers, singers, soul singers, trying to bring this story of, and the theme is harmony, that even though the club had only about 300 seats on any given night, 280 of the faces in the place were black and the remaining 20 or so were white, there never was a problem. And the whole message, not only from the patrons, but from the artists themselves, was harmony. There was harmony in the music and harmony in the club. There was never, in spite of all the racial problems that were happening in Boston with the busing and everything else, never, ever any problem. No violence, no unkind words, because there was a sense of harmony. So I grew up in a black neighborhood. I'm promoting this movie about black music, and I until COVID, I would visit 6 or 7 inner city schools, predominantly black, to deliver my message about how to break out of any disability, whatever, any impediments towards success, and try to implant in their heads and in their hearts a desire to break out. And to think the effrontery of people coming to me angry with me, and I would just say, what have you done with the black experience? What do you do? And again, no basis for any of this, but I found myself under attack the whole time. And people actually labeling me a racist. And so I started to say, there's something going on, and you're on it. I love your take on this. There's something underneath, and it's their mindset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody, I meditate just about every morning. And it's something that we're talking about this because this morning's meditation was called My Life. And seriously, in the beginning, she stated something about your mindset and how it's, people will wonder, here's an example. Here I am up in Maine. I'm considered in the boondocks. They could call it that. I'm in between. And, you know, people know, how do you survive them? Oh my gosh, you know, I don't have a store. I could just, you know, take 10 steps a bit. No. We have to drive to go to the store, you know? So we learn how to, I wouldn't say conform. I wouldn't say that. I would say you adapt. There you go. Adapt to life here. And, you know, you got to keep a certain mindset here. Like you say, mindset, positive. And people say, well, you can't be positive all the time. No, you can't. It's not possible. Nothing is all gumdrops and rainbows every single day. It's not. I mean, I have a special needs daughter. I've almost lost her 3 times in her life. And, you know, that's taught me a lot. It's woken me up. And, I mean, it's a big slap across the face, a big wake-up call. So, you know, I've had to maintain a certain type of mindset. Or do I pull the covers over my head and forget about the world? Or do I get up in the morning, throw those covers off, step down on the ground, and you know how they say when you step out, you know, the devil says, oh, no. That's how you step out of bed. Step out of bed with that mindset. The devil's going, oh, no, she's up. You know, and say, of course I am, and walk like I mean it. You know, say, I'm going to have a good day. This is good. You know, I'm going to get things done. This day, I'm going to be successful at least one thing in this day. And if, you know, this, and a lot of people, especially with the whole pandemic, a lot of people have been staying home. We're used to that. This has been no change for us. Because of my daughter, because of Victoria and her condition, around this time of year especially, we've always hunkered down. We always made sure we had at least a month or 2 months worth of food in the house. We made sure, okay, the heat, you know, the fuel tank is filled. We'll be warm. We have what we need. We're living simply to simply live, but we're happy. You know, we don't need all the frills. And that's something that certain people just don't understand. I've got family members that don't understand it. I have a home that I've been considering. It's way out in the middle of nowhere. And one of my family members actually said, why would you want to move there? Well, there's nothing out there. And I go, exactly. There's nothing out there. That's why I want to be there. I have nothing against anyone. It's just I want to live. It's my life. And if I want to homestead or I want to grow a garden or I want to just sit out on my porch in the morning with a cup of coffee and not, you know, have to listen to the sirens going by or wondering, you know, is somebody going to honk or flip the bird or whatever. No. But, you know, I'm going to have my peace of mind. And it's just, that's the mindset I try to keep and maintain is peace of mind. It's not easy, but it can be done.
You know, this is exactly what I started to say. If somebody's coming to me with this issue, looking to fight with me, to somehow convert me, I don't know why they pick me. That's what I've taken inventory of. Well, wait a minute, why are you trying to pick on me? I grew up with black people. You know, I'm not one of these people, oh, I've got friends. No. I ate in their house. They ate in my house. I slept in their houses. They slept in my houses. We never, what infuriates me about this thing, I haven't thought about color in decades. And now everybody's thinking about color because somebody's selling it to us.
You know, I just came to mind is, and with this whole thing and the masks and all, I purchased a Guy Fawkes mask. It's one of the anonymous masks.
Oh, yeah.
I figured I would wear that, you know, once in a while. And if people ask me why, I said, why not? You know, why? I think maybe everybody should be wearing one because it doesn't matter. You know, everybody's, if I'm wrong because I'm white. Or they feel, you know, victimized because of their certain color or nationality. Why doesn't everybody just wear an anonymous mask then?
Well, you know, it's funny because when I did get...
and I mean this in a comical sense.
Of course, and I did too. I said to people, you know, I got into it pretty heavy with a couple of people, and it got down to the point where I said, you know, I said, you know what you're really mad at? I said, you're mad at God. And they looked at me and said, no, that's who you really should be angry with. Not the white guys, not the white people. You should be angry with God. He did this. And I'm going to use a vernacular I usually don't use on this show. He fucked up. God fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
God made it, and they're looking at me. God should have made everybody the same color. He's the cause of this. He did this. He should go back and correct it. From now on, everything that comes out will be the same color, and we won't have this issue.
Like you have 6 heads, right?
Yeah, and I said, so you should hate God. And I said, so you do hate God, really, because he started all of this. And I said, but you know who you really hate? I said, you hate yourself.
Oh, bingo. Bada bing. You got it. Yes, that's the thing. Is too many people hate themselves.
Because if you didn't hate yourself, you wouldn't have made this phone call.
That's right. And the thing is, people always confuse it. If they think, well, if I love myself, then I'm conceited. No. It has nothing to do with conceit. Conceit is, I'm the best person on earth and you're crap. No, that's conceit. But loving yourself and caring for yourself is not conceit. People have confused that over the years. Because I learned how to care and love myself. In order for me to care for and love my husband, I need to care for and love myself first. And, he and I had our issues. We had our ups and downs, major roller coasters, all because it was a good part of it was me. I was not liking myself. And I got over that. And I realized, I said, all right, well, pick yourself up off the ground, get your butt up, quit downing yourself, be good to yourself, love yourself, and then you'll be able to equally love who you're with.
That's right. You can't give it unless you got it.
Exactly. And what is it? How this huge majority of people just despise themselves? Why? Why? Because they made mistakes? And everybody makes mistakes. In order to learn, you got to make a mistake. Because they.
Whoops, we lost RoseMarie again. You know what I'm going to do? This is a beautiful. There's some beautiful things here. Oh, here she is. She's back. Hang on. There you go. I'm glad you got through. Hang on. Okay, go ahead. You're on a roll.
Mercury retrograde. Yeah, I know about that too. It messes up with the technical stuff. Anyway, I just why when they look in the mirror, why do they hate themselves? They're not making the amount of money they want to make. Oh, I'm a failure. No. They should look at themselves, because another thing I noticed with the meditations I do, this particular one, is no one is alike. Everybody's different. We've all got different fingerprints. We're all special and unique in our own way. Everyone is gifted. We just have to realize, they have to find it. They have to dig deep within themselves and find that they are gifted. Everybody holds a gift within them. They are worth it. They are enough. And they should stop bashing themselves. Are they bashing themselves? And I see it. I see posts. I'll scroll through Facebook once in a while now. I don't get on as much as I used to, but I'll scroll through, and I'll see, somebody's totally down about themselves, totally down about the day. Well, what's wrong? Well, I'm blah, 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 I'm this and that. And, you want to reach out and you want to say something, but then you're like, I can't solve their issue. They have to solve it. They have to, wake up. They have to wake themselves up. I cannot wake them up. And that's another reason why, I see everything going on. I'm going, oh, crap. There's only a certain majority of people that are awake. And I don't think there's enough to wake everyone up. They have to wake themselves up.
Well, that's why we're here, isn't it? We came here. We could get really into some metaphysical stuff, but I'm talking to a wonderful guy named Hanshi Steve Kaufman right now, who calls all of this process really a self-reveal Revealization, Revealization, which he says, one day we wake up to discover who we really are. We're fragments of God. And then, that's so hard for so many people to accept. But it's that awakening that's saying, oh, I am not, some temporal being. I am, and I don't know, you are reading Rhonda Byrne's book. What, you want to comment a little bit on what she says?
Oh, the greatest secret?
Yeah.
Like I said, a lot of times I'm sitting there nodding my head going, that's right, yep. It's another reawakening book. I read The Secret. And she had another one that she wrote that I read as well. And then this one here, because I'm bouncing back and forth between the greatest secret and Writing Down the Bones.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going in between those two because I keep one in one room and I'll pick one up and I'll read another paragraph or chapter because I'm also trying to get my writing in as well. I'm trying to write another page or paragraph or sentence. And, I'll pick up that book and I'll get drawn right into it. And then I know, I got to get up. Victoria's got to have this or she's got to do that. So with me, it's bits and pieces, but there's certain parts of it that you have to read again because you go, did I read that right?
Mm-hmm.
Did I really read that right? Because it really tells you that deep down, the only answer, you're going to find the answer, and it's within yourself. And I had so many people tell me that. And over the years, I looked at them like, what? No, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to learn this now. I found out that'd be the truth, that in order for me to learn something, it was already within me, and I had to wake up to see it. But it is, I do recommend anyone reading that book. I'm probably about halfway through it right now. So it's been a couple days since I picked it up, but the last time I did, I think I was reading it for about half an hour. I was drawn into it pretty good.
I think we could end here. This is going to take a little editing to get this thing right, but I'd like to end here, and I'd like to pick up on, if we can both remember this, maybe you can write this down, that we're at this point about the secret and about awakening to our real selves and the mindset issue. And because what I stumbled on recently, I got a little angry with the law of attraction, the secret, because I started to realize it worked like a charm at times, and at other times it didn't work. And so I started to say, somebody had said once, if it was a law of attraction, laws work all the time. They don't work sometime and not others. So I said there was a flaw in the thinking. And that's why for 14 years, my being upset with that book, to see where she came full circle with the greatest secret, is that she finally discovered it, that the greatest secret is just allowing, understanding who you are, and all the other things of gratitude and other, but it's not your ego creating. So she finally got it, and I just embraced the book. And the times that I've opened the book, I've opened up to over and over again the point of where she's talking about acceptance and resistance. And I said to myself, I got an epiphany myself, it's not that we have to pray for what we want. It's not that we have to visualize. It's not that we have to, do affirmations. Those may help and those may have a place. However, the universe, God, whatever we want to call it, the source, is always offering gifts. Always. I mean, it gave us the gift of life. It gives us the gift of the weather. It gives us the gift of food. It gives us the gift of air and water and all of those, and the gift of love. And it seems to me, as I listen to more people who don't get those things, that they block them. And it's that simple.
Mm-hmm.
And once you decide not to block, not to resist, but to accept, it's endless.
Exactly. And you're talking about this, and like I said, I'm very much into music and all, but the song from REO Speedwagon, "Roll with the Changes," just started going in my head. And to me personally, it's about letting it flow and rolling with it.
Yep.
And just keep on rolling, keep on going, and moving forward. It's forward. Too many people look back. If you keep looking back, you're not going to get anywhere.
Exactly.
And yeah.
And we'll end it there on that note. And that's one of the things I've said to the people who persist in trying to think that I'm some racist and have to convert me to the Black Lives Matter issue. I say to them, it's funny that you leftists are always in the past. I said, you go back to slavery, which hasn't existed you go back to that. You go back to the massacre of the Native Americans. You go back to all the evils that we created. Nobody's denying the evils. Yes, but we didn't do it. That was the consciousness of the time, or the lack of consciousness. But the consciousness we have today doesn't allow for that. The laws don't allow for that. Nothing allows for that. And so I said, somewhere along the path to spiritual enlightenment or being awake, one understands one has to live in the present.
That's right.
And I said, I don't see the leftist ideology talking about the present. They talk about the past. So nobody's talking about
make tomorrow better.
Yeah, or to make it tomorrow. It's always the past, the sins of the past. And I said, here's another thing that one learns in their path to spiritual involvement is they have to learn forgiveness. And I said, I don't hear any of that in the leftist rhetoric. No room for forgiveness. Only damnation and ridicule and the tearing down, the attack on the other side. And I'm not saying that the right is all right, but the momentum is with the left. And so why don't we end this here and we'll pick up next time, if you can make some notes, that we'll talk more about this acceptance and this mindset. And I'll give you the last word. Go ahead.
Like you mentioned about acceptance, keeping a positive mindset, accept the fact that in order to move forward, we need to shut out the past. Yeah. I know a lot of people probably get angry about that, but it's the truth. In order to move forward, in order to become successful, and you got to move on.
Exactly.
You got to roll with the changes.
Exactly. RoseMarie, I love, when we had the last one of these, we talked about, we hadn't talked in a couple of years, and you called me, and immediately I knew you were a different person. You truly have gone through a transformation, and you're so awake and so in a positive vein. And I just have to comment about it's a joy to talk. I could fall over with your words of wisdom and your insight now, and that's a story. And if you don't write that journey down, especially with I don't know the first word that came to mind, the cross that you had been given, but a sacred cross,
Very.
A sacred cross.
She's my, they call girls with Rett. I'll bring it up as my daughter has Rett syndrome. It's RETT. And she's in the background. I don't know if you can hear her or not, but she's really trying to get her voice out. Girls with Rett are usually nonverbal. She's really trying to become verbal, but she's wheelchair bound. She cannot use her hands. But this girl, unless she's, in pain or she's hungry or angry, it's the only time we ever see a frown on her face. Other than that, she is smiling. She's happy.
Wow.
And here, she is my biggest inspiration. She is the one that gives me the wisdom. She is the one that gives me this, to go, keep moving forward. Because if she can sit there in her chair, not able to use her hands, not able to even speak for herself. I'm her voice. My husband as well. Both of us are her voice, her feet, her hands, her legs, her feet. We're all that. And, you know, and to see her so happy, you know, you got to say there's really not much to complain about.
Wow, that's right. You know, she's surrounded by love, and that's the answer. So
we love her very much, and we're very, very protective of her.
Well, listen, I'm gonna sign off now. I'm gonna clean this up. It'll be ready in a day or two, and I'm sure you're gonna want to share this with your friends because it's another work of art. And by the way, how are you enjoying writing down the bones?
I am enjoying that. It's very. What I like about it is just. She doesn't make it writing sound complicated because it's not. Writing is from you, from your spirit.